Hello and welcome to Four Times in a Podcast. This is going to be our season preview episode. Just before we get started, just want to give a thanks to our sponsor for this episode, Football Prizes. As you know, we worked with them for the last 6 months, gave away some great prizes, and a few of you have been lucky enough to win them. Just wanted to let you know what this week's prize is. It's a Kyogo signed and framed Celtic shirt. It's a great prize to win if you're lucky enough to get the ticket that wins. There's also 2 instant win prizes. One's a Cameron Carter-Vickers signed and framed Celtic montage, and the other prize is also this season's home kit. You can win them instantly if you draw ticket number 45 or number 88. You'll be assigned one of them if you do. If not, you'll still be in the draw for the Kyogo shirt. So tickets for this draw cost £3.95, but we can get you a wee discount if you use our code 4times10 at checkout. That'll get you 10% off. But yeah, why not enter that and you'll be supporting the podcast at the same time. But thanks very much to Football Prizes, and thanks to everybody that's bought tickets using our code as well. It helps us out. Straight into it. We're recording on Friday night before the Aberdeen game, and it is Celtic's 22-23 season is about to officially become underway. They've had pre-season where they were undefeated, and although that was all about getting minutes in the legs, it's good to have came through that. Start with Tony. We're going into Ange's second season, and a lot of people didn't expect much last season. I think they'll be expecting more of the same that actually came, because it did turn out to be a hugely successful season. What are you expecting for Ange's second season?
A lot of goals, probably both ways, especially in the Champions League. Excitement. I'm expecting good football. I'm expecting another fun season. I mean, I think last season was extremely enjoyable for a number of reasons, probably because we weren't expected to win anything. A lot of great moments, last-minute goals, finally winning at places like Easter Road and Livingston, and then the cup final, and then actually the fact we get back to beating Rangers again and all was exactly what we needed in order to win the title, and we were deserved winners. We were unbelievably consistent after the first 8 games. I'm expecting a stronger start this time, I must admit. I think we're in a much better place in terms of the squad and the preparation the managers had. No Champions League qualifiers, but the points tally we got last season, I think it was around 90 something. If you can hit that again, you'll be doing well, but I know the manager wants to improve further. So, as you say, he's undefeated in pre-season. Don't know if that goes for too much, but I've seen some of the games. Some of the goals we scored were fantastic. I think McGregor Hatate in the Artur Boruc game was a great one. So, just full of excitement, but I know people will be unable to really concentrate because they'll be really annoyed about the new banners, and they wanted the old banners or they wanted different banners. So, no, it's definitely time for the season to kick back off and people arguing about fucking dross like that. So, I'm looking forward to it, and obviously a big announcement today about Bankier stepping down. So, I don't know who the new chairman will be, but I think there's a rumour going about it might be a familiar face. So, it's exciting times, and hopefully it's the beginning of a season where we're going to retain our title and make an impact in Europe. But I've said quite a lot that that's going to be a massive task.
Aye, as you say, there's a load of fronts we're on. We've had no qualifiers this season, so it's been a really different sort of pre-season that we've been used to. We've also, Danny, I'll bring you in just before we get into the proper preview. In terms of Celtic's transfer business, they seem to have got most of it done before the season begins, which again is very unlike Celtic that we've came in over the last 10-15 years. We've also got a few new faces like Bernabé, Moritz Jens, Ben Siegrist as well, but perhaps the 2 most important signings were the boys that were here last season. They were on loan, obviously Cameron Carter-Vickers and Jota I'm referring to. How important do you think Celtic getting these transfers done early will be? Because especially the 2 that we did retain, like they came very late in the transfer window. Do you think we'll, as Tony said, that last season was a bit of a slow start? We lost 3 of our first 6 games in the league. So are you expecting that sort of polar opposite to that when we take to the field on Sunday?
I don't think we'll lose 3 of the first 6 games this time. I'd hope we will. Getting Jota and Carter-Vickers permanently was such a boost. It should have been done though, like for January onwards. It was pretty much a tap-in my opinion. It's probably true that Jota's agent floated him around Europe before he actually signed, which is his right today. But, we're definitely happy to keep Jota. and Carter Vickers. I'm going to contradict myself. I don't think the squad's massively improved, but I think the squad will massively improve. I think every player in the team, especially the 17-18 that Ange trusts, and the players that play most weeks, out the kind of main squad, they'll all take a step forward this year under Ange. I've got no doubt about that. People like Hatate, who's looked good in pre-season, O'Reilly, Turnbull, Kyogo, Maeda, Giakoumakis, Jota, Carter Vickers, Starfelt, Taylor, Hart, the whole team, they'll all take a step forward. And I would have liked maybe a kind of an Encham type signing. Remember after the Invincible treble, you're thinking, how do you improve on that? And then you got Encham, who was, on his day, a very, very accomplished footballer. I was kind of looking for maybe a player like that to come in, and he might still come in. But I think Bernabeu will be a good addition eventually, but he's got to take time to settle. He's, the pace, the South American fit with the intensity, and you can say Scottish fit was fast and frantic and intense and all that, but it's a completely different culture for a boy. He's going to take time to settle in. Jens, I didn't see anything last week. I've never seen any game, but what I've heard for obviously you talking, and I think a couple of other Stevie for Gigpod, they were quite impressed with what they seen with him. So hopefully he can come in and provide competition at the back, because we like Stephen Welsh, and you always want to see your own do well and come through and make it. But I think still yet to be convinced that you could trust Stephen Welsh. No trust him, that's maybe a bit harsh, but I don't think he's the answer week in, week out. So hopefully Jens can be there as third choice and put pressure on. I think Julian's a lost cause, unfortunately, now. But I think we're maybe a player short. I don't know. But I think, as I say, I don't think it'll matter too much, because I think everybody in the team will take a step forward. I'm really looking forward to this season. All we heard last year was how better Ange's teams are after 2 seasons, so after the first season and the second season. So I'm looking forward to seeing how we are. And I'd say that on here probably last year and the year before and the year before that, but pre-season means absolutely nothing to me. As long as nobody breaks their leg and everybody gets minutes, I'm not that fussed about results or anything. But what I have seen, I watched us against Rapid Vienna, and I watched the other game, Banik Ostrava, before we went to Prague, and I think Tony's right, we're going to score a lot of goals this year, and maybe Ange might just have, we were talking about it back today with guys, a Celtic fan, who was saying Ange might have just thrown caution to the wind and say, let's just win 3-2 every week. So it's not up with that, but I do think it'll be a goal-laden season.
And just to stay on transfers for 2 seconds, Danny, how do you think we'll cope with the impact that Tom Rogic had last season? Obviously, everybody was emotional at the end, but I think we're going to miss him a lot more than people sort of realise. I think that O'Reilly's great, Hatate's great, but I don't think we've got anybody that's that sort of Rogic type player.
No, you're going to miss him. Of course you're going to miss him, but O'Reilly was brought in to be Rogic's replacement. I know they're different players, but in the sense that they're very similar in a lot of ways, where they play off the right, in Ange's system, left-footed, float about, very good on the ball. O'Reilly was Rogic's replacement. That was a bit of foresight. I don't think they planned to sign O'Reilly. What I've heard is it's kind of a chance that they were looking at him and they thought he would do well, and they were maybe trying to get him this summer, and the chance came in January and they took it, which was the right thing to do, and he's been a revelation. I think he'll have a brilliant season this year. So as much as we will miss Rogic, of course we will, he was a great player for us over the years. His replacement was already signed, and he did have a really good season last year, but I don't want to say we'll not miss him, but I don't think we'll be looking back at the end of the season. If it all goes wrong and we don't win the league, we don't win anything, I don't think we'll be looking at Johnson. Do you know what? It's because Tom Rogic left, and maybe that's harsh, but it's just the way I feel.
No, that's fair enough. I'm probably slightly different. I think we were a big miss to I know it maybe was time ago, but I think that just with the dynamism of him and the sort of individual brilliance that he can bring moments in a game. But as you say, O'Reilly's a great signing, and I'm sure he will just step up more. And you've obviously got a guy like Turnbull as well, who missed the second half of last season. Well, most of it anyway, he'll be in about there as well. But Andy, as I said, the expectations are completely changed from what they were last season. I don't think many people expected us to win anything, never mind 2 trophies. What's your expectations going into Ange's second season?
It's weird. If you go 12 months ago and we were all sitting here, it was very much that, right, we're going to need to give the manager a season to sort of find out where we're at, improve the team, bring quality in, and maybe, if we're all really honest about it, I think we all said in agreement on here that it would be sort of this time, after a full year in the job in his second year, that we'd be looking to win the league. But obviously Ange exceeded everybody's expectations. He came in and really just, obviously there was a bit of a shaky start, but once he got his ideas across to the players and the players sort of picked up and started to believe in it and got behind it, then you seen what was possible. And I think somebody's already mentioned it, but for the minute Ange came in, everybody said about it. His second season's really when you see the Ange ball, if you will, or what he's really capable of. So I think everything coming together is obviously leaving the expectations high, which, let's be honest, they should be and they will be. As a Celtic manager, that's just the way. It's the nature of the beast. When you're in charge of Celtic, like, you're going to have really high expectations, and rightly so. And I think the manager thrives on it. So what everybody said, I'm really, really looking forward to it. I'm fucking desperate for a football to get back. It's nothing worse when it's no there. You realise just how much a big part of your life it is. But on the transfer subject, I think there's still going to be business done. I know there's obviously the talk of Mikey Johnston going out on loan or leaving or whatever it may be. There's been a couple of moves for Stephen Welsh. I think there's still a couple of deals to happen. I mean, even looking back at sort of last summer with the deadline day signings, I won't be surprised if the club are trying to work on one or two things, and it's maybe hinging on whether sort of Johnston goes. Or I just get the sense that we're not quite done yet, which, again, going off the manager's track record of signing players, then fully supportive of it, because I've no doubts that they will improve the club or improve the squad in some way. So I don't think we're done there, but on sort of where we're at the minute, and listen, I think any team's going to miss a player of Tom Rogic's quality. He's shown time and time again just how good a player he was. Big game player, put us out of many a hole. With his quality, he's not just get sort of a midfielder that provides for our players. Like, he would score goals, and he would score big goals at big moments. We could all probably list you 10 off the top of your head that he's contributed to. So it's obviously he's going to be a massive miss for any team. But I don't think the manager's going to be complicit in that. I don't think it's going to be something that will harm us too much. I reckon it's something we've looked to into trying to combat. O'Reilly obviously was brought in as a sort of long-term successor to Rogic, but I think there'll still be an element of allowing other players to come in and sort of pick up the goals and the assists that you're losing. We've seen it before with McGregor having the capability to move further up the park and sort of offer more into games. I reckon it's something you'll see more this season than you perhaps did last season. Obviously, Moikinen's a different type of player, but he's probably going to sit a bit deeper. So it'll likely allow for McGregor to do that, and then O'Reilly's going to have another year under his belt. I completely agree with. I think it might have been, it was Danny Delaney said it earlier, that I think everybody's going to take a step forward in this team. I think whatever players have remained here and will remain here in the sort of playing squad, that 17, 18, whatever it may be, I think they're here because they're trusted, and they're here because they've bought into what the manager wants to do, his ideas, and they're becoming better football players. I fully believe that, and I reckon you'll start to see that. I mean, we all seen the turnaround in guys like Tony Ralston last year, so I'm excited to see him himself, what further steps he can take, and everybody else in the squad, how many strides they're going to take forward in their careers, and I'm really looking forward to getting back to it.
Aye, definitely. You've covered a lot here, but as the listeners will be used to, we're sort of as unprofessional as ever. Tony has to go now, so I'm going to quickly get his predictions now. So, Tony, first up with domestic, how are we going to do domestically?
I think the league title race is going to be really close, I must admit. I think both teams are actually in a good position. I'd love to say we're going to steamroller them, but I just, with the level of opposition, I see it being quite tight. I think we'll win the league, but I think it'll probably go to the kind of second last day again, something like that. But I think we'll go over the line, because I think our tactics are most suited to beating teams in this league, the way we press, kind of poor level of players and win the ball back and just kind of never stop. So I think we'll win the league, and I think we'll win the Scottish Cup. I'm not going to predict us for a treble. I think that might be quite difficult. And if we don't win the League Cup, you'd assume the other side will win it. That was the way it went last year. What was the other one? You want a European prediction?
Europe. So where's our European journey going to end?
Fuck knows. I mean, if we get a bad draw, then it'll end in we'll end fourth. There's no two ways about it. As much as I think we've got a good manager, we've got a good squad, some of the teams, I mean, if you end up getting like Liverpool, I just don't see how you take it off these teams. They're just too good. Same with like kind of Real Madrid, Man City with Haaland. If you get a favourable draw, then you've got a chance. I mean, I want Frankfurt. I know people probably think that's basically just for a bit of fun, but I genuinely think we could compete against them. I don't think they're a superb team. You can get me with Sevilla and Salzburg. I may want them for the trips. It's hard to say. I mean, I think if we get a difficult group, I think we'll finish bottom. If we get a competitive group, I think we could finish second. So it's difficult to say. I need to look at the draw, and then I could get a better scope. Sorry if you can hear a lot of background noise. I'm actually outside the pub getting ready to go in, which will come to a shock to absolutely no cunt. So what was the next question?
Player of the year. Who's going to be your player of the year?
Kyogo. He's our best player, so I'm opting for him as player of the year. That's just my thinking. I think if he stays fully fit, he'll be a top goal scorer. I think Giakoumakis will run him close, don't get me wrong, but I just think he's a special talent. So for me, player of the year, Kyogo.
And just before you go, one mad prediction for this season.
A mad prediction? That's a good one. Well, I think Dyson Maeda's going to play a massive role. I don't think that's mad, but I think a lot of people doubt him and don't think he's a good player. I think he's going to have a huge impact on the team. I don't have anything that's particularly mad, but I genuinely think he's going to have a huge impact on the season. I think he's a very good player. I think he just needs to work on a few different aspects of his game, but that would be my prediction. Right, I'm about to get pissed.
No, that's fair enough. So we'll let you go. We'll catch you up next week when Celtic have raised the league flag again. Right, we will get back to a running order now, and I will come to Danny and we'll talk about Celtic in Europe. And now, Ange's first season in Europe, it was sort of a mixed bag. We obviously had the disappointment against Midtjylland where we dropped out of the Champions League, although that game came very early in the season for us. Europa League was a tough group we got. We took 9 points out of the group, scored plenty of goals, but it ultimately did drop out of into the Conference League. And then I think for a lot of people, the Conference League was a sort of bit of a low point for a lot of people in terms of losing that game to Bodo quite easily when they came to Celtic Park and won. And then the second leg was sort of a non-event that Celtic seemed to have accepted their fate. But Danny, as we spoke about, we don't have any qualifiers. It's only we teams that are playing Champions League qualifiers this year. We are straight into the group stage. I think must be the first time since Stratton that we've been put straight in, and first time we've even been in the group stage since Brendan Rodgers' second season. How do you think Celtic will go on? Obviously it's draw dependent, but how is Ange's team set up to be equipped in this Champions League?
Ange's team is set up to either be a complete surprise package and go through, or take a fucking tooling in every game. There's no other way about it. I'd like to think we'll not take any doings this year in the Champions League, but it seems a wee bit inevitable with the way that we play. And Ange isn't going to change for anybody. And folk will come out now and say you need to be pragmatic and blah, blah, blah. Rodgers wasn't pragmatic. Ange isn't going to be pragmatic. He's going to set his team up to how he thinks he can beat these teams. I remember Rodgers playing 5 at the back against Barca and getting beat 7-0, and then he tried the same thing at Bayern Munich and we get beat 3, and it was 3 going on 9. Ange is going to set a team up to try and play football. He's not got any other way, right? It's just the way it is, and it could be ugly, but then again, it could be beautiful. If the team takes that step that we all think they will, it could be decent. Last year was a mixed bag. You give Ange another 2 weeks and we beat Midtjylland. Might have got horsed.
I think if Beaton doesn't get sent off in the first game, we probably won it 3-0.
That's fair as well, but I mean, we would have got humped off PSV in the next round, more likely than no, but still, I think that would have put us right into Europe, Or did we need to play 2 games in? I know we beat Jablonec. I had to beat AZ, didn't we? So
Alkmaar and Jablon.
That's right, So we obviously would have to have played another round, but we'd have got through one round the Champions League. Europa League, I was actually quite content. I just wanted to win the league last year, and we were playing really well. The team were bonding, gelling together, and in the Europa League I would say out of the 6 games that we played, I think we played well. I think we played well in all 6 of them. Even we get humped 4-0 by Leverkusen at Parkhead, but their keeper was the best player in the park. And it was the same mistakes that haunted us then that haunted us before and haunted us in the Bodo game. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not as if we deserved to win the game against Leverkusen. They were very good, but we gave a good account of ourselves. Bet us away for 70 minutes. We were brilliant and just done a really stupid thing. Lost goals in bunches, and it cost us the game. Leverkusen away, we were fucking outstanding. And again, through away, and against Ferencváros, we played really well. So you could see some, a resemblance of a good Celtic team in Europe last year. Bodo was just a fucking disaster. I mean, they come to Parkhead, they scored really early, and then they got a second goal for, I think it was 2 bad mistakes. I can't quite remember. But I always thought that night against Bodo, if we'd have scored in the first half, we'd have on and won. The second leg was just a training session, really, and they were as hungry as they were in the first leg. They'd take 6 off Roma at that stadium, so they weren't going to turn up and just play the 90 minutes. They were right up for it. This year, straight into the Champions League, it's set up to be it's going to be hectic, kamikaze football, as we said last year. But who knows? Maybe the team have gelled and learned some lessons. But it's Tony said, and as you said, it's draw dependent. I'd love Frankfurt out of pot one. If It used to be a cut like when we were in the Champions League most years, right, under O'Neill and under Strang, you'd look at it. I think we're in pot 2 one of the years, but even in pot 3, I think we're generally always in pot 3, but I think we're in pot 2 one of the years. But you would look at it and you would go, right, any team for pot 1, and then nowadays pot 3s for pot 4's got fucking good teams in it. But pot 2 is just loaded with the next 8. You know what I mean? I think Chelsea are in pot 2, and like Bayern Munich. I think Bayern Munich might be in pot 2. I don't know, but because Frankfurt are there, but I don't know. But there's just fucking insane amount of teams in pot 2. So you're looking at straight away. You're looking at a fight for third, and it's all going to come down to the 2 games against the team that are in third, but then you might get the best team in pot 3. We've really had no luck with draws recently. It would be nice to get a wee bit of luck in a draw and get a Frankfurt. I think there's a couple of other teams, but it's draw dependent. And I mean, for once, I don't want the glamour draw. I've never wanted a glamour draw, but this year especially, I just want a boring draw, which gives us a chance to get into the last 16. But let's just be honest, it's going to be a tall order in it. And we're more likely looking at coming on here in December. No, but it's not going to be December this year. I think it's going to be like October or something, and saying, right, let's just fucking focus on the league and let's enjoy World Cup and then focus on winning the league again. So we'll get the highest hopes of the chance. It'll be great to be there, and we've not been there in ages, but hopefully the team uses it as a learning curve.
Aye, definitely. As you say, it's a good 5 years since we've been there, so it'll be just good to be back. But I think hopefully there was a lot in the, as you say, Europa League group stage. Like every game, like even the one we lost 4-0, like, but if you look more so at the 2 tough away games at Betis and Leverkusen, we were winning for a long period in the games. And as you say, it was sort of daft things like losing goals in bunches that done us in that. But I think I'm going to be controversial and say, I don't even know if it's controversial, it probably isn't, but I think expectations should be raised a bit just because of what that mob were across the city done. Like, I know Champions League's obviously a much tougher competition, but I think the sort of level of teams that they came up against and sort of more so what they done at home and how they made their stadium a fortress, and sort of that's where they got their real success. Like, I think we really need to look to make Celtic Park a fortress. Like, in the early 2000s, teams did dread coming to Celtic Park, and like obviously it's a pure combined effort between the fans, players, manager. Like, you need everything like to go your way, and I know there's obviously a massive gap now between us and the elite teams, but I think that the Champions League, as much as it could take 6 doings, like that's a long and short of it. But as you said, I think we're sort of prepped to be a potential surprise package where we just sort of catch teams cold, and if we're a bit better defensively than we were last season, which we should be, because when we're playing these games, we'll be 12 months down the line and 12 months like better prepared and have better players as well. So we've obviously recruited since then as well. So I'm very interested to see how we do cope. Like, I know we're Celtic, so we'll just get the 3 toughest teams we can get possible, and some people just write it off. But I'm really looking forward to seeing it and seeing how we do come up against these sort of top teams. But this year it'll be 10 years since the Lennon Lions got to the last 16 in the Champions League. Do you think there's any chance that Ange can lead his team to do the same?
It's going to be a tall order, I think, regardless of who you get in the group. As Danny mentioned, it seems as if it's a different world for when sort of Stratton and Lennon and O'Neill's original sort of. We were in the Champions League, the groups just seem much harder now than they were then, in terms of the pots just seem stacked with really, really sort of top level opposition. Just on what you have said about sort of the ties and how people are wanting to set up, I think I always find it a baffling argument that people expect us to. You've got a team who play attractive, attacking football, it's kamikaze every single week in, week out, but then because fucking, I don't know, Liverpool are coming to Parkhead, they want us to sit in and stick 11 men behind the ball and try and rotate it down. I mean, there's just so much wrong with that train of thought. It doesn't make any sense. Like, you've played teams that do that. Have built a team to do that. They've got a team of hatchet men, a team who that's all they do week in, week out. Like, if you look at some fucking dross like Burnley or something, not even up here, like some shite you see in the league. That's the way they play week in, week out. That's what they drill week in, week out. Like, you can't turn around and start telling players like fucking Jota and Kyogo and Maeda, right, you're going to no cross the fucking halfway line and just batter everything up the park when it comes to you because you're shiting yourself or taking a down. You can't go into games like that. No other team in a similar sort of vein, there's always comparisons made with us and like Red Bull Salzburg. Like, you don't see teams like that doing that. It's just, it doesn't even come into their train of thought. It's we've got an identity, we've got a way of playing this game, and that's just the way we're going to go about it. If you take it down, so be it. Like, use it as a learning curve, improve for it, get better. I'm bracing myself that inevitably, like as you said, it's Celtic in Europe, we're going to end up with the fucking 3 hardest teams you can possibly see. I don't doubt that for a second, but I want them to go and have a go. I want them to really see where they're at. Because as Danny mentioned, you could see something amazing happen. Like, you see these results sometimes. Obviously, we've not been in the Champions League in a while, but I'm sure everybody pays attention to it most years. You see some results, you see some games where it's just a brilliant, entertaining game of football, and it's two teams having a go at it. Even in recent memory, there was the games between Salzburg and Liverpool, where obviously Liverpool were the better team, but Salzburg had a go at them. They weren't afraid, and they were scoring goals. Like, that's the way you've got to look at it. You can't be afraid of them, and you've got to go and sort of put your mark in the game and let the players let the players play their game, and sort of set out. Because ultimately, if they can have any sort of period of success against teams like that, it's only going to give them confidence. But as for the last 16, I think it's probably a step too far, although I'll always be optimistic. I say that, and the groups will come out, and I'll be coming on here telling you we were going to get 9 or 12 points for it. But it's a tall order, but I'm like you, as long as we go and get a good account of ourselves, I would bite your horn off to come third and drop into Europa League. But as I say, we'll all be optimistic once the groups come out and we know who we've got.
Exactly. Obviously, we'll do a bit of a special episode once we actually get that drawn. We can plot where we're getting our 18 points from. But we'll move on to domestic action now. Danny, we won the league before 4 points last season. That was quite the turnaround from the season before. We also picked up the League Cup, which I think was a massive point in last season. How do you see this season going? Obviously, I think finally we might stop hearing about mad bloggers and other such types talking about how that mobility is going to go bust now that they've actually sold a few players, and obviously the European run maybe will be able to focus on the football. And they've lost a few key players, but they have signed some replacements. Obviously, it remains to be seen how they get on, but are you like Tony? Do you expect a very close title race next season and same in the Cups, or do you think that Celtic, or perhaps no Celtic, could go on and win the league quite comfortably?
No, I'll be honest. I don't know where it's going to go at the minute. I think I would back Celtic just on the basis that I'm convinced that the whole team will push forward, and just on the basis that I'm convinced everybody in the team will take a massive step forward. But at the minute, I think there's not even a fag paper between the two teams. I think we were really good last year. We were completely and thoroughly worthy title winners last year. And in the game against Parkhead, we blew them away. And that was, and at Ibrox we were very good and deserved to win the game as well. But I think the other games, apart from the 3-0 game where we blew them away, I think every game could have conceivably went either way. I mean, if Edward scores that tap in at Ibrox, we go on and win. And do you know what? We might have won the league. We might have won the league at the Park if Edward would have scored that goal and we don't want to win at Ibrox. We might have won the league by 15, 20 points because, I mean, imagine that Ange team turning up there with no fans and beating them. You know what I mean? That could have fucking finished them as early as that. I mean, Gerrard might have left a month or two before. And then the 3-0 game, as I say, we played them away. We were phenomenal in that game. Fully deserved to win. And then at Ibrox, we're a goal down. We had to dig deep. That could have been a role reversal that happened at Parkhead, but we didn't. We were a lot better team than them at the time, and we got the win. And then the last game, we should have been out of sight before they scored, but then they had chances to win it at the end. So in the Scottish Cup semi-final I thought a game very, very poor quality. I thought we'd nicked it when we scored first, and then obviously Carter Vickers should have scored and made it 2-0, and then we would have went on and won it, and we'd be sitting talking about a treble now. But I don't think, apart from the 3-0 game, I don't think there's ever been a massive gulf between the teams this year. I said it when they beat us on here in August. I said, it was a 50-50 game settled by a set piece, and I think, whereas I thought at Parkhead obviously blew them away. Cup semi-final, they deserved to beat us. We were really poor in that game. Especially the longer that game went on, the worse we seem to get. But I did think we'd nicked it. So I don't think there's an awful lot. I think they've improved. I think they've improved their squad. I don't know about their starting 11 because they seem to have kept all their kind of mainstays that were meant to be going. We'll see how it fits the players in. Like this new striker, is he going to take Morelos' place? Who knows? Just the boy Matondo is meant to be quite highly rated, but I've not really seen much of him to comment. I don't think the defence is getting any better. I think keeping Goldson, do you know what? It's probably a good thing for them in the long term, but I don't rate him very highly. I think he was solid under Gerrard. I don't think he can be asked now. For him and Bassey just to be costing the Europa League. Still get questions over their goalkeeper as well. They seem to, there's no sort of data issue. I think their number one that they thought would be their number one is going to be Celtic's number 2 this season. So I see the league being very, very tight, and I think if Celtic can keep up the momentum that we've got under Ange at winning the league, and if we keep that on and kick on again this season, I think we will win the league. I think we'll win the league again, and I think the treble's up for grabs. I wouldn't say that I think we will win it, but I think it's up for grabs. But I just think with the stop-start nature of the season, with the season Breton for the World Cup and the Champions League and stuff, it's got to be a lot of football all the season. So with the League Cup and stuff, so we need to, the League Cup, the Champions League, it's got to be daft football for a couple of months. It'll be dead exciting. But if we can just, again, I think I'm right in saying this, Darren, that the team that wins the league gets into the Champions League again straight away. Is that right? If that's the case, then it's win the league at all costs, which it is anyway. But even more this year, if we win the league and nothing else, I'll be happy. That's just the way I look at it. I'll not be jumping for joy if we get humped out both cups and get done in Europe. But if we win the league, it's got you win the league, you get to enjoy the summer. So that's the way I look at it, and I think we will win the league just about.
Aye, that's it. It's, as you say, with such a monumental prize on offer, it should be all that matters, and of course it is for a lot of fans all that matters. And it was great to retain it. We've obviously won 10 of the last 11 league titles, so hopefully we'll be adding to that. But Andy, what do you make it? Do you think it's going to be a close match-up? I think it's. I'll tell you where I am. I think there's a good chance that Celtic could really establish an early lead. I think they are very reliant on their new signings sort of hitting the ground running, and they may well do that, but they sort of relied on that in January as well, and it didn't happen. And I think Danny sort of pinpointed that I don't think their starting 11 is going to be as strong, just because Bassey and Aribo were massive players for them, especially the last 4 or 5 months of the season. That European run, like they were extremely pivotal in getting them the success that they eventually got. And like I just think that Celtic is being so well drilled and 12 months down the line into Ange's ways, and have been basically, like, I know a lot of people will say, oh, the squad's no change, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think we've done the recruitment we needed to and added in a few areas. Like, you've obviously got the chance that guys like Moy and Bernabei and the likes could come in and have a massive impact, but having the core of that squad and not losing anybody big from like your starting 11, like, I think there's a good chance that we'll carry on this sort of 32 game unbeaten run in the league, and it'll take some team to stop that, because I know Van Bronckhorst got a lot of credit for what he done at Rangers since he came in, but he's, I think, had 4 goals at Ange and not been able to beat him in 90 minutes. I know they won the cup game and deservedly so, but I think that was a bit an anomaly. I don't know. I still can't pinpoint to this day what went wrong with Celtic that day, because they just didn't turn up. But even at that, like, as Danny said, we probably should have went on to win it. I don't think probably, we definitely should have. We had the lead and then had the glorious chance to make it 2, which would have finished it. But I think there's every chance that Celtic will start this league season on fire and come up with some sort of really impressive winning streak in the league. And look, I might look stupid when we come on here on Monday after we drew with Aberdeen, but I think there's every chance that we'll start the way we did last season, where we sort of blow teams away. But what's your thoughts on the domestic front, Andy?
I mean, I think we can all sort of put to bed. I know there's a lot of people that would just never want to give them any credit, and to be honest, I don't really want to either, but you can sort of put to bed the notion that they're not a good side. They've obviously got a way of playing football and they're quite efficient at it. They're not going to get to a European final if that's not the case, but I'm with Danny and Giselle. I think they've lost 2 big players. Have they replaced them? I don't know. But ultimately, it's about us. It doesn't really matter what they do, who they sign, who they sell. I've never really confessed to care, but what their balance book looks like, I couldn't give less of a fuck. Like, it just doesn't matter to me. It's about what Celtic do and how we perform. And I think the big thing, as you say, people are saying, oh, they've only signed a couple of players and two of them were players that were there last year. I think the big thing you need to remember, and a lot of people would do well to remember, was that for large parts of last season, we were really down to the bare bones. There's periods of time we've not even got a striker. Kyogo was out for extended periods of time. Giakoumakis was out. I could go through every single position of that team, and there was a sustained period of time where we were missing a key player in there. And I think that's massive. And it obviously played a big factor. There was that sort of period of a breakdown, if you like, where a lot of people's hammies were gone, and there was similar injuries happening through the team. And I think that's because of the type of football and the sort of way that the players were now being asked to play. Obviously, I think that had an impact on them. So keeping the squad together for the most part is not a bad thing. I think the big bonus is that we've not had any major losses. We've no, obviously Juranovic was heavily linked to Atletico Madrid. Didn't lose him. Managed to keep Jota, get him back. Got Vickers, get him back. Again, holding on to Kyogo's, Giakoumakis, McGregor's. Keeping players here is a massive thing, because it would then become maybe an issue for me that we go out and we sell one of the sort of the starting 11, if you like. You then need to replace that. And obviously that's a bigger headache. So I think that's massive. As I said before, I think we've recruited well so far. Obviously defence was an area that we needed improvement on. We've bought a left back, brought in another centre half. So I think that's huge. So it's and I said at the start of the show that I think we're going to sign one or two more. I still think that's a possibility, but domestically it really is all down to us. There's a lot of dross in this league. There's going to be weeks where you can't be turning and looking to fucking teams like Motherwell and fucking Kilmarnock and St Mirren to be taking points off them. Like, obviously there was times last season we were looking for a wee favour or two, but you've got to just keep our mind on ourselves, and I think the manager's really proficient at that. I think it's down to how we perform. And with you, Dan, I really think that we could be on the sort of the edge of starting another sort of quite a lengthy winning streak, hopefully. I think there's every bit of ability in that squad today, so, and I see no reason why not. And I know we said it for long enough last year, but I reckon there's going to be some absolute doings dished out in the league this year. Obviously there's some fucking shite in the league like Motherwell, and you've seen their embarrassing performance in Europe this week and last week. But I reckon not just that, but how good we can be, particularly going forward. I mean, there's pre-season games I try not to look too much into. It's just glorified training matches, but there's been glimpses of just phases of play and the way we're working at times, and I think you're starting to see so much coming through, and full pre-seasons and players' legs. I can see some teams being on the end of absolute doings this year, Dan, and I think we're going to take some stopping domestically, I reckon. And as I say, it's no matter how good the other team are, it's down to us. We just need to be better, and I think we will be.
Definitely hope so. I know we gave a few downs. It'd be good to get a few more out, but we'll go on to our predictions now, and then stay tuned because we've got some of your comments that you sent in to us coming up as well. But I'm just going to ask the same questions that we asked Tony. I'll ask myself first. So domestically, I think we're going to win the treble. I just think when we're on our day, there's no team in the country that can touch us. And as I said, with the league, I think it probably will be close. And I think Andy's got a good point. The draws in the league's not going to do him any favours, so maybe it won't be as sort of wide margin as I suggested. But I think that there's a good chance that we will get an early lead, and it'll sort of be case of catches if you can. And I don't think anybody will be able to. So just pure, I'm not even trying to be sort of cocky about saying we'll win a treble. I just think if we turn up, we will win the two cups as well. But if I was to choose one, I'd probably, I miss not being in the Scottish Cup final this year. That was one I'd like to get back to. But on Europe as well, I think I think we might set a new record for goals in a game. I think we'll probably draw somebody like Liverpool, and there'll be a sort of 8-4 game or something. I think there'll be something mad like that in the Champions League. But I think we will drop out of the Champions League, but I think we will get enough points to secure third place, and we'll finally get rid of that daft hoodoo about winning games after Christmas in Europe, and we'll get to the Europa League quarter-final, will be my prediction for that. Player of the year, there's a few that I was thinking about, and I'll not say too much about them because some of you two might have predicted them, but I'm going to go for Jota. I think that he's the one that we waited all summer for, and I think if he continues the way that he seems to be in pre-season and that he was for like a good part of last season, I think that Jota will scoop every Player of the Year award that is given out next year, and I think that will be really sort of similar to last season, where you probably will have another 5 or 6 behind them really going for it. And obviously, if that's the case, then it means Celtic are having a good season if you're having that discussion. But Jota's going to be mine, and my shock prediction for next season is that I don't know. I'm between two, and I'm going to be. I hope this is shock, because I know Tony's with a massive shock with his Maeda shout, but I think in about 3-4 months there will be a time when there's a serious conversation about whether Callum McGregor's a starter for Celtic. I think that, and that's not slight on McGregor, he's obviously a fantastic player, fantastic captain, but I think our midfield's going to be on a different level this season.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard in this podcast.
Well, I have to be controversial. I think everybody's going to be massively on top of their game, and I think he will stay in the team, but I think there'll be a serious discussion to be had. But Danny, I'll come to you since you were so keen to jump into mine there. Give me your domestic prediction first. See, I've got the shock out of you, so there you go. It's a great shock prediction.
It's controversial and there's certifiable. Domestic prediction will win the league. I think it's going to be very close. I think we'll pull away. In fact, I think like you, I think we'll get out to a lead, and I don't think we'll get caught. So there is that. I think we'll end up winning it by about 8 points. In the cups, I don't really care. I think we'll win the Scottish Cup. Ange probably wants to complete the set. I think we'll do that this year. Because who doesn't want to be Scottish Cup champions at the end of the season? And the League Cup, do you know what? I'll make a silly prediction and say Aberdeen will win the League Cup. They're out, aren't they? Are Aberdeen at the League Cup? I don't think Aberdeen will win the League Cup if they're still in it. I was going to say
Hibs. Definitely still in it.
I was going to say Hibs.
No, you're still in it.
I was going to say Hibs, but they get fucking kicked out. So Aberdeen will win the League Cup, which will bring joy to many dandy dons. Europe will. Do you know what? We'll finish third. That's my honest answer. I think we'll take a big scalp. I think we'll beat somebody at Parkhead, but we'll take a down it way. And I think we'll finish third, and we'll last longer in Europe than Haunted FC this year. I'd be shocked if they made the Champions League. I'd be even more shocked if they made it out of the Europa League group. So there's that. And then what was the other one you want? A Player of the Year?
Player of the Year, and then your shot.
David Turnbull will be the Player of the Year. Everybody's looking at Hatate, and quite rightly so, because he's been brilliant, but Turnbull's like the one for Arthur in the field. He's just stopping them from behind, and he's ready to come through this season. He'll score a lot of goals, he'll set up even more, and he'll win the Player of the Year award. And my shock prediction, although it's fucking academic after yours, Dan, but my shock prediction will be, I've got two, but I reckon this year we'll have 6 players that score at least 10 goals. But within that, both Kyogo and Jagimax will score 30 each. But there you go. I'm not going to predict. I'm not going to predict that fucking Stephen McManus, takes the team to the Europa League final or anything like that.
But you probably get a Motherwell job soon, I don't know.
That's not a bad shout, actually, played there, didn't he? But I will let Andy go before I come back with the readers' predictions.
Right, Andy, on you go. You complete your predictions before we get on to the listeners.
I'm actually I want to say a treble, but something, I don't know, something's in my mind just saying there's going to be a slip up or just a fucking dodgy decision. Something stupid's going to happen. I've got visions of the Dyla game against Inverness with a horn ball, just something fucking ridiculous in the League Cup. And that's what knocks us out of that. But so I'll say a double. I reckon Hearts will win the League Cup, then we'll beat them in the Scottish Cup final. I think, what else was I predict? Europe. Actually, I agree. I reckon we're going to nick third. I think at home we'll always get a good account of ourselves in all the games, but I reckon away will probably be a bit of a tall order. I think we're not going to get a favourable draw. We're not going to get the draw we want, but hopefully it's not as bad as it could be. I reckon we'll drop into the Europa League. And again, a favourable draw in that, and we'll win. We'll win a post-knockout tie after Christmas, which would be lovely. What else I need? Player of the year?
Yeah, player of the year, mate.
See, I've been banging the Hatate drum for the end of last season, and I really don't want to pull away from it just because he's had such a good pre-season. I think you're going to see so much quality for that boy. So I'm going to stick with Hatate. I think the only thing that will do him out of it will be if, as Danny mentioned, if one of the front men bang in a mental amount of goals, then that's the sort of thing that takes his awards away, particularly in the sort of modern day. I feel like it's goals tend to grab a lot of headlines. So I think it'll be Hatate unless one of the front men do go and bang in 30 or something like that. And just my mental predictions are all that's left. Aye.
As indeed.
After yours, nothing I can come up with sounds mental, because yours is just a weird way to admit you've been drinking since 12 o'clock today. But I'm going to say we'll see another hat-trick in a Glasgow derby. So I think the last one was Dembele. I think we'll see another one by a Celtic player in a derby.
I'm glad you clarified by a Celtic player there. That's definitely reassuring. See the last day it was. Like, I was between two mental predictions. I thought that was a less mental one that I said that.
Let's hear your other one, Giza.
My other one was that Matt O'Reilly won't be a Celtic player in September the 1st. There you go. But I would have just looked stupid in a month. And
I see me fucking depressed. You alright?
See in 3 months when O'Reilly's wearing the captain's armband because McGregor's on the bench, then I'll look like fucking Nostradamus, I guess.
My other one was going to be that we'll take 10 off someday, but I've been doing that for years.
Well, aye, that's everybody heard us, but we did reach out to listeners on Twitter. We asked for your mad predictions, and some of them are mad, some of them are a bit realistic, but we got some response. It was we'll not have time to read them all out, but Danny's got a few he's got to read out, and me, Andy and Danny will pop in if we've got any sort of reaction to it. But maybe somebody else has said McGregor's going to get dropped as well, but I doubt it. What do they say?
Nobody said that, actually. You'll be surprised, you know. Andy Agnes, good friend of the show, good man all round. He says, we'll have an undefeated home record by the end of the Champions League group stage, and we'll take at least one big scalp. I quite like that one. Mark, 67, good egg. David Turnbull will be a crucial player in all competitions and will end the season with more goals and assists than Hatate and O'Reilly, which is cool. Some people talk about penalties. Somebody thinks we'll get more penalties than Rangers. Somebody thinks VAR will give them more penalties than us. Charlie Foster says pies will go up to £4.73 by the end of the season. Dan, we've found one that's as mad as yours. Liam King, good friend of the show, says Ange will leave before the split, which is the one that's got 11 replies. That's the one that's the most thingy. And I'll pick one. Aidan, the arsonist, he's put saying Maeda will have a mullet by May. So Tony might, him and Tony might end up going to the same barbers. And that's about it. I think the rest of them are pretty good. Somebody else has agreed with me agreed with my reserve pick, about 10 goals. But I think that's it. The rest of them are just kind of a wee bit daft. But aye, that's it. So the listeners are as mad as us, it would seem.
Some of them are right out there. But...
I know. I mean, Dan, I don't know why you were so conservative with your views. You should have been more. Should have took a gap.
I'll really try and shop these next time. But see, here's another one. Here's a wacky prediction. I'll say that, see, when VAR comes in and it starts getting decisions the way they should, I think that mob will walk off the field. I think they'll just had enough and realise that the game's up for them. But no, that's us coming close to an hour now, so I know we've left it quite late to the season starting, so I'll not leave it too long to get this out. We will be back next week after the Aberdeen game to review Celtic's first game of the season.
Okay. Action. Hold on.
Right, go for it, Dan.
Right, so we'll play Rangers in the Scottish Cup final, right? But it'll be that controversial because we've won the league that they'll demand a foreign ref. So the SFA will go to the FA for a referee, and Bobby Madden will come up and referee the cup final.
Fucking Stone Cold music hits and he just starts walking down. I'm sure it'll be another enjoyable season, especially when VAR comes in. I'm sure we'll have nothing to talk about. But no, as I say, we will be back next week. Be sure to keep an eye on the YouTube. There's some excellent content going up on there, especially with the new pod Tims, Brian and Kieran. They've been doing some good stuff. I know Brian had Liam McGrandles on. So that's on there. We're going to get a few more interviews planned. We're going to put them on there. So if you like that sort of content, go over to the Four Tims YouTube channel and subscribe, and you'll be able to not miss a beat when you're wanting your Celtic fix. But we will be back next week, and it is good to be back. We will hopefully be back reporting on a Celtic win next week. Cheers.
All the best. Enjoy the season.